ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. قال رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Alhamdulillah, one of the best times of the year is approaching us, and it's always very welcome when a person meets Ramadan and is about to enter Ramadan. Tends to be some sort of excitement, or tends to be some sort of fear. Sometimes it's different emotions come for different types of people, and a person must realize that if he's getting excitement coming from Ramadan, generally it will be a good Ramadan for that person. A person who fears regarding I have to do this and I have to do that, then that person doesn't make the most fruit and doesn't take most fruit from Ramadan. So a person must come in with the right mindset. A person must welcome Ramadan with open arms. Sometimes you get guests around your house that turn up at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, and they stay there for 3-4 hours, and you're sleepy and you got work the next day, and it's not the most welcoming time. It's not going to be the most welcoming time. But when the person is prepared, they're giving you enough time, and a person comes at the time that you wanted them to come, and you're prepared, you've got food for them, and you've taken off time, then it becomes a good meeting. Then it becomes a good, when the person is hosting. So this is now what we want. We want a good hosting. We want to prepare for the time. We want to prepare the food. Everything comes right. So now the timing is perfect. Everything comes, and now it becomes more smoother. Rather than someone turning up at night time and then now disturbing your sleep, and then disturbing the next day, and then so this is now welcoming. So a person must welcome the Ramadan in a certain manner where a person is happy. Now, how do you get the most of Ramadan? We've heard many talks. We've had many reminders. We've had many different advices come to us that you should do this and you should do that. Every single year it comes to us. A person should do this, a person should do that. Every single person here is different. So if I give one piece of advice, it might work for some people, but it doesn't work for the next person. So advice can be very different according to the person speaking or the person listening to the advice. So when a person hears advice, so how can I take this advice and how can I act upon these advices? So it will be different. So I don't want to give advices much today. The point is not just to give advices. The point is to realize, okay, what am I doing good? Let me do that and really be good at this. Now, example, I like the Qur'an a lot. I like reading the Qur'an. I like tilawat of the Qur'an. I like different things to do with the Qur'an. Okay, let me excel in this. Let me become perfect in this. Let me become really good at this. Let me go and do this a lot. A person likes to do zikr. The zikr of Allah, he makes like tasbihat. He likes to do different tasbihat, salawat upon Nabi. He likes istighfar. He likes, the kalim. These different things he likes to do. Excel in that. Do a lot of that. Do something which you're really good at. And really excel in these things. When a person wants to study more, let him study inside of the month of Ramadan. Whatever it is the person feels comfortable with and he feels he can do very well and comfortable and he enjoys it, do that in abundance. Do this in abundance. So some people say, oh, you should read the Qur'an this many times and do this. It might work for some people, it doesn't work for other people. So just have a connection with it, that's all Allah is asking for. Have a connection with it. When a person has a stronger connection with the Qur'an, automatically things in his life become more blessed. The time that he is doing something becomes more blessed. The things that he's involved with becomes more blessed. Everything because of the Qur'an. But a person must have this connection with the Qur'an, some sort of connection. If you don't have, or you don't read or tilawat the Qur'an, study the Qur'an in any kind of form, any kind of situation during the year, you're not touching the Qur'an, then it's a big issue for us. It becomes a big issue. You're losing out on all the blessings. You're losing out on all that knowledge. You're losing that on that connection with Allah. Allah speaking to you, but you're not looking at these things. Then there's something to really reflect upon. Why am I not doing this? Why am I only bringing out only this time of the year? Let me try something different. Let me try something which can now last for a bit longer. So this is the spark. The spark must come inside of a person's heart, and I must do something outside of Ramadan. So it's the spark. To try and get the spark inside of this month. So have your intentions that I want to do this and I want to do that. It's correct. Have these intentions, and a person should make his own intentions. Why? Because if I give you one intention, it might work for some people and it might not work for the other people. So a person must realize what his level is and how good he is in certain things and excel in that and go as much as possible in that thing. And now this is what a person must really reflect on. I'm good at this and I can go do this. One of the things that I always see every single year, and it gets worse and worse and worse, and we find this complaint a lot, is that during the month of Ramadan, what happens a lot is that we find a lot of people are still sinning. A person is still involved in bad actions and bad deeds. And now this is something which is always people struggle with. So example is that a person is not, the first few days of Ramadan, a person usually tends to get headaches, maybe there's some sort of tiredness, they're not used to it. And what happens is because they haven't prepared from before. So example, one of the advices that was given is that, some people have chai, right? They're really addicted to tea. Or coffee. Sometimes if you have coffee in the morning and then coffee during the whole day, you have to have coffee, otherwise they don't function well. So the first day of Ramadan comes, second day of Ramadan, third, and they're struggling. They need to have a coffee, and they can't have the coffee, they can't have their tea during the day. And now they really have a headache, and now it's that I want to do so much, but I can't do it. Why? Because now I'm addicted. So then have a routine from before Ramadan, where you cut out and start to cut down your teas and cut down your coffees and so forth, or space them out in a certain way where you can easily go into Ramadan. Lots of people struggle because of this. So what this does is that when a person feels like he's having coffee or tea during the day in Ramadan, what happens is that you feel bad. I can't drink the coffee, I can't. But what are you doing to your nafs? Because at the moment, outside of Ramadan, you can have it when you want. Tea time, let's go get the kettle on. Coffee, let's go and get a coffee. You can have any time you want. Your nafs saying, I can have it any time I want. And you have it any time. And then you have got addicted to it. And now this is your routine. So your nafs is giving in all the time. So what happens in Ramadan? You're harming your nafs, but you're controlling your nafs. In Ramadan, you control it. So you control it, I can't do it. And it gives you a headache. It gives you some some sort of comfort which is not there. So all of these things is very important. Yes.
Brother, his parking attendant is there. He's issuing a lot of tickets. So please, if you have parked wrongly or double yellow line or zigzag, please go and make sure park properly. It's outside there. They are outside. Jazakallah.
So that's why it's very important to work out what habits am I going to struggle with in Ramadan. What is my habit I'm going to struggle with, and how do I get rid of these habits? So these habits are there. So the one is just the normal habit. I mentioned tea and a coffee and so forth. But the biggest habit that a person doesn't, or the way that habits work and the way that things work, is that sometimes when you look at these habits, that the Ramadan comes to stop these habits. Well, not only that, you control the nafs. You control the nafs in Ramadan. So you control your own nafs, that it gives you some sort of uncomfort. It's not there. You're not comfortable at all. So when a person is not comfortable at all, then this is where his growth is. Then this is where the nafs is getting controlled. Then this is where the nafs is getting squashed. And now you become stronger. Now you can deal with many different things. So this is what Ramadan comes. It controls that nafs. Even with your coffees and your teas, it controls that much. So there you'll feel uncomfortable for a few days, and then you get used to it, and then it becomes easy for you. So that's how every single habit works. So before Ramadan, shaitan works. He whispers. He takes you this place, he takes you that place, and so forth. And then what happens? You start to go and falling into sin. But in Ramadan, shaitan is locked away. So then where does my habits come from? Why do I still sin? Why do I keep doing bad deeds and so forth? So this is now something which I got to reflect on. Okay, why am I doing bad deeds? My nafs is there. I'm giving into my nafs every single day with my coffee and my tea. So everything else I'm also giving into. I can do this and I can do that. No one's watching me. This is what happens. So everyone falls very quickly when it comes outside of Ramadan. And in Ramadan, you can't blame shaitan anymore. You blame your nafs. Because now he's worked on the nafs so much that your nafs is wanting everything. But Ramadan is there to control the nafs. He holds there. You're holding everything. And this is the whole point of Ramadan. It's controlling. That controlling there. You're controlling your tongue. You're controlling what goes inside of your body. You're controlling your desires. And this really builds. Because a person, never, generally speaking, you don't start a new sin in Ramadan. No one starts a new sin in Ramadan. I'm starting smoking in Ramadan. No one starts smoking in Ramadan. Why? Because the nafs hasn't been built. Shaitan builds the nafs so much that he gets addicted to something, and then they go into Ramadan with that addiction. That's how it works. But a person who's nafs hasn't been built in that way, he doesn't start sinning automatically in Ramadan. It doesn't work like that. So you got to work, what's happening with me in Ramadan? Why do I keep falling into the same things? A very famous example is given by many ulama. They mention regarding the most important thing, or to become a wali, a friend of Allah in this time, is you stop the sin. So focusing on ibadah is one thing, and if you can't do much ibadah because of certain things, but you can't do much ibadah, at least stop the sin. So he mentioned a very famous example of the leaking bucket, where a person is going, he's got a massive bucket, he goes up to the water fountain, he fills up his bucket. And what happens? In his bucket, there's got a few holes at the bottom, and these few holes, while he's picking up the bucket and he's taking it to his destination, by the end, and he gets to the destination, he's lost so much water. Why? Because it's leaking. The bucket is leaking. So what does he do? He looks at it, he finds that there's a leaking bucket, and he tries to sort it out, and then he goes back again, and it's still leaking, it's still leaking. So every single time when a person looks at the wrong thing, he listens to the wrong thing, he speaks about the wrong thing, everything which is in the disobedience of Allah, you're piercing your bucket every single time. You're putting a hole in your bucket every single time. What about that person? He's now closed his bucket off. He's got a brand new bucket. There's no holes in his bucket. He fills up the water. He fills up the water, he takes it all the way back to his destination. Now the people in his destination, he can take full benefit. Why? Because he's got a full bucket of water to take, and now they can use that water. But that person who keeps sinning, and he keeps piercing holes in his bucket, then what reward will be left for him at the end of his life, or at the end of Ramadan? This is why we fall so quickly after Ramadan. We keep piercing our bucket. How do we pierce this bucket? We've got so much deeds, we're gathering, but we keep piercing holes inside of ourselves. And what is this piercing of holes? Is this that sinning? We keep sinning. We keep looking at the wrong things. How many of us have got a social media account? How many of us have flicked through something, and what happens? You're looking at certain things which is wrong. You didn't mean to, but it ended up that way. And this is how it happened. Many addictions. Many people are addicted to watching the wrong things online. Many people have this addiction. Especially youngsters. Many youngsters are addicted to it. They start off with social media. Every single one of them have said the source of all of this is social media. The source of all this is the TV, is the laptop, is the internet. And when a person cuts off these things, then automatically everything comes down. His urges come down. His nafs starts to get controlled more. Why? Because there's less access. So a person in this Ramadan, how to stop sinning is through the eyes, is through the ears, is through the tongue and the other limbs where a person is involved in. So all of these things are ways of trying to sin. So if a person restricts those, has control over those, automatically the sin account becomes less and less and less. Then what you take back from Ramadan is much more. Because there's less holes in your bucket. And obviously the number one thing is now to try and do no sin, and have 0 holes in your bucket, and take the full benefit on Ramadan. But how do you stop the sinning? Before Ramadan, you got to restrict what's coming through your vision, through your ears, and through what you speak. Because everything is controlled through the heart. And all of these are the channels towards the heart. And if a person's heart is healthy, then the whole body is healthy. But if a person's heart is corrupted, then the whole body is corrupted. And that's why a person must watch what he sees. Please watch out what you see, especially in Ramadan. A person might say, oh, I got this program. Rather, I keep saying to these people, when you're having when you're reading the Qur'an, Mus'haf, and you have the ability to read it from your phone, you have the app, and sometimes the app is used when you're on a journey maybe, or when you're on the train or something like that, or you're in a place where maybe you don't have access to a Mus'haf. But with that there comes lots of messages coming your way, there's lots of things coming your way, emails coming your way, and you get distracted very quickly. So maybe a suggestion, a possibility is that maybe this Ramadan I don't read the Qur'an on my app, but I use the Mus'haf, just so then I can put my phone away and there's less distraction. Maybe this is a suggestion that might work for some people. Another way could be I use maybe not the phone, not whatever I need to do, whatever I want to read books instead of learning from online. I want to read the book instead. So rather use something else, but not the phone. So these are why am I saying not the phone? Because even the phone has its good things, some people can't control. Some people cannot control. Sometimes messages come in, sometimes you want to do this, sometimes you want to do that. But then you don't have any salahiyah, you don't have any ability to go on for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes. Why? Because the phone is such where it flicks through, and now you're going on to something else. You were reading the Qur'an 5 minutes ago, now you're doing something else. And it happens to all of us, it happens to elders, it happens to youngsters. So this is why be very careful, be very aware. Self-awareness as a human being, as a Muslim, is so important. You've got to know what's happening to you. You've got to know if you're being attacked by shaitan. You've got to know what's your nafs wanting all the time. You've got to know yourself. Lots of people don't know themselves. They don't know what's happening to them. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know the pathway in life. They don't know what they want in the future. They don't know what to do sometimes. They're completely lost. You say Muslim, they come to the here and there and they don't know what they're doing. They don't have no plan for the future. They don't have no plan for Ramadan. There's no plan, there's nothing there. It's just about wandering all this way, wandering that way, bumbling along, as they say. So all of these things are very important to be self-aware. What's happening to myself? How do I know I'm sinning? Oh, I didn't even realize I was sinning. I didn't even realize that I'm on social media, I'm looking at these wrong things. You didn't realize it was wrong. You just think, because it's so normalized. It's so normalized. When the first time we saw something, then it's something different. When our children, and they have access to this as well, when they see it, they say, oh, that's a bit dodgy. What they're watching is something which is outside of the restriction zone of what the parent restriction zone of your phones and so forth. Outside of that, there's still certain things which is very dangerous for a person's iman, for a child's iman. So this is why you've got to be very careful of yourself and your children and your family, but have certain suggestions that you can suggest, that you know yourself better, because once you know yourself better, you'll suggest things that works for yourself. I can suggest many things, but those things might not work for some people because they don't know what they actually want. So that's why it's very important to go on a journey, to know yourself, to find out who you are. Why am I doing certain things? Why do I keep looking at these certain things? Why do I watch for a certain long period? Why am I easily influenced? Why do I like certain things? Why do I behave in a certain way? Why do I speak these things every time this happens? Why do I feel down every time this happens? Why do I feel happy every time this happens? Know yourself. You've got to know yourself. And if a person is not self-aware, then he will be lost. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he wants. Then how can he be of any benefit for himself? So really have to know yourself. Just like when a person wants to get married, when he's ready, he knows himself, he knows everything regarding it, and he knows that I want this, and I'm this is what I want in life. I want to get married. Or he knows about a job. I want to go down this route. I know exactly what I want. I have passion for a certain trade, this business. I want to go into business. I have a passion for this. I think I'm good at this. And then he wants to know, and he speaks to the right people. He gets mentored in a certain way. He gets guided in a certain way. Then there's benefit because he knows what he wants. Some children, they come out of university, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know why they chose this course. They don't know why they are, studying in this field. They just said, I don't know. Oh, my friends are going that way. I also went that way. They don't have any enthusiasm for the job. They don't have nothing like this. They don't know what they're doing. They're going like this and they're going like there's no guidance for them. They don't know themselves. They don't know themselves. So one of the ways to try and do this is Ramadan is to try and know yourself. Try and understand yourself. Okay, why don't I read the Qur'an for more than 30 minutes, for more than 20 minutes? Why am I struggling with zikr? Why am I struggling with a dua? I make a dua, but it's lasting 15 seconds. 20 seconds, that's how long my dua is lasting for. Why am my dua? I can't think of anything. Ya Allah, and you don't know what to say next. You don't know what to say next. There's no building up. If a person is only he's maybe 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years, he's doing Ramadan fasting for many years, so many years, yet his du'as are still only 30 seconds long. His du'as are only 30, 40 seconds long, and he can't think of anything else. So for the past 50 years, what is your du'as been like? What's my du'as been like? What kind of du'a am I doing? Why am I only making du'a when something happens to me? Why am I not proactive? Something's going to happen to me in the future, let me make my protection du'as. But there's no du'a, so a person should be making du'as, and the du'a should be lasting for minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. That's how long that's how long we should be speaking and begging Allah. This is the way that I want, this is the target I want to reach. But for my du'as are like this, you don't know what to say. You don't have a clue what to ask for. Then there's something where a person must now, okay, do you know what? come on, I need to start to at least make a dua. So on the first day of Ramadan, I make a 10-second dua, fine. But then the second day, I make a bit longer. And then think of a list. Maybe listen to a few speeches or lectures. Okay, this person's talking about guidance, let me add that into my dua list. Okay, this person's talking about forgiveness, let me add that into my list. This talks about qubuliyat, acceptance of my actions, let me add that onto my list. Shukr, okay, let me add to my list. Sabr, let me add that to my list. All of these things about family, let me add that to my list. About the qiyamah and the grave, let me add that to my list. All these things I can add to my list, and then I make dua, and I just have the list in front of me, it's fine. Ya Allah, I want forgiveness. Ya Allah, I made so much sins in my life. Ya Allah, privately, Ya Allah, openly, Ya Allah, major sins, minor sins. Ya Allah, forgive me. Ya Allah, not only in the qiyamah, and okay, Ya Allah, protect me from this, protect me from that. Fitna of the jar, fitna of this, fitna of that. Ya Allah, protect me. Ya Allah, guide me. There's so many different things that a person can do, and you have the whole list down. But your dua should not be 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. There was one time a dua was being made. I think it was in congregation. Well, it lasted for a minute. And people are shouting at the end, say, Subhana Rabbika, come on, finish it off, finish it off. Why? Because they got no salahiyat of dua. They don't know what it means. They got no connection. So that when a person is making dua, he has to make it in a certain way that he's feeling there. There must be feeling there. It must be ajizi. Ajizi meaning humility, humbleness. You're a beggar in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're a beggar. Everyone here is a beggar. So they act like a beggar in front of Allah. Where's my emotion? Where's my emotion? The emotion must be there. I have to have emotions. If I don't have any emotions, then do I really mean it? Do I really mean what I am saying? So it's very important to have something like this. Ramadan is there to try and kickstart, boost. Something must be there. A spark must be lit. But intention must be there. Have all of your habits that come out. This is now self-awareness. Now you're realizing who you are in Ramadan. It's not shaitan's fault anymore. Sorry. It's yourself. So what am I going to do about it? How can I deal with these certain things? And this is a person's own journey. Person's own journey. Everyone's different. Everyone's level is different. As long as you increase your level. As long as there's an upward scale that a person must increase the level. And this is what everyone's looking for. This is what everyone must have this intention of. That's why when we're having all of these reminders and maybe speeches and lectures and so forth, we hear them all the time. We hear them every single Ramadan. But when is it going to hit us? When is it going to come and touch us? When is it going to come and we have that moment where we can say, yes, let me start again. Yes, let me do something about my life. So many people have used Ramadan as moments in their life where they change. So many people have broken their habits during Ramadan. Many people have stopped smoking in Ramadan. Many people have done it. Stop other habits in Ramadan. Don't just press the pause button, press the stop button. Stop, I'm going to stop. Not pause and restart after Ramadan, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop everything. This is what I'm going to do. And I have intention. And then make dua, say, Allah, help me with this. Help me with this. Guide me. Protect me from all of the things that I've been involved with. And then go on from this. But have your intentions, what you want to do. I just gave you a few examples, suggestions, maybe your dua, maybe your zikr, maybe your Qur'an, something, whatever it is. A person must have something like this. And then know yourself during this time. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance, for protection, for acceptance of all our Ramadan acts that we were going to do, inshallah. And make us this Ramadan very blessed for us. And a means of closeness and taqwa inside of our hearts. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, subhanallah, bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.